Part 38. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 372. The bell tower is very high, and standing on it you can overlook the entire town. The level 5 zombie should not have appeared in the enemy's field of vision. The corpse monument discovered him. In front of the corpse monument, he could not hide in a dark corner like before. At this time, the zombie also saw that one of the guests was a level 4 zombie and the other was a level 4 wizard. The level 4 wizard didn't know what strange magic weapon he had, but he could get rid of the shackles of the level 5 trapped priest. After the wizard got out of trouble, he raised his hand and pointed at the bell tower. The level 5 zombie then turned his attention from Cooper to Rudolph. At this moment, time seemed to stand still. The level 5 zombie wore a hooded robe. The robe was so heavy that it was motionless in the sea breeze like a bronze bell. There was only a dark hole in the hood, like an abyss, and the situation inside could not be seen clearly. A faint red light appeared at the fingertips of Rudolph, like the dimmest star in the starry sky. The next moment, this red light suddenly turned into a red laser and shot towards the level 5 zombie. Cooper was stunned watching from the side. It was like a reverse play. The red laser had already hit the level 5 zombie before Cooper was blown down by a gust of air. Starting from Rudolph's finger, the laser brought out a gushing air wave. The knight's body that stood up again was at the edge of the air wave and was directly washed away by the air wave for several meters. The level 5 trapped priest created a forest of iron bars. All the iron bars close to the laser were bent by the air wave, and the iron chains were like ribbons rustling in the wind. Then there was a sharp sound, which resounded throughout the sea burial island. The residual power of the laser alone had such momentum. I wonder what kind of penetrating power the violent laser had. The shooting finger fire hit the hood of the level 5 zombie. It was not until it was close that it could be seen that the black in the hood was a ball of black gas, which obscured the appearance of the level 5 zombie in the hood. A level 5 knight-like Nane could not resist the power of the shooting finger fire, so how could the zombie in front of him resist it? The black gas was instantly blown away by the high-temperature finger fire like the surface of a star, revealing the true appearance of the level 5 zombie. The appearance of the level 5 zombie flashed, and the hood turned out to be a skeleton, a skull. In the eye holes of the skull, each beam of green flame like candlelight jumped. Before Rudolph could take a closer look, the finger fire had already shot through the head of the level 5 zombie. After a slight pause, it broke through the resistance brought by the skull and shot into the sky behind the bell tower. All the corpses in the town, the corpses on the port ship, and the corpses in other distant fishing villages, at this moment, looked up and looked in the direction of the bell tower. The faces of the farthest corpses were terrified. The finger fire lived up to everyone's expectations, and the level 5 zombie fell backwards and fell on the floor of the bell tower. There were constant thumps around, and corpses fell down uncontrollably, which made Rudolph completely relieved. Especially the bodies of several giants, which crushed several blocks when they fell, and the dust flew. "Cooper, did you see it?" "I saw it." "Will you become a skeleton after becoming a level 5 zombie?" "I don't know, maybe. I don't have anything special." "I mean, do you want to find a woman?" "What are you thinking about?" Cooper was a little confused. "What time is it now?" "We are fighting a level 5 zombie. What does this have to do with finding a woman?" "You are a virgin and you don't understand. If you become a skeleton without finding a woman, you will regret it. Even if it costs some money, I will pay for it." Cooper rolled his eyes at Rudolph, took out a medicine bottle, and began to apply medicine to himself. Just now, when the Lion King Starfire broke through the trap magic, he was affected by the explosion and his whole body was burned. After Cooper applied the medicine, he felt much better. He said, "The situation was tense just now, so I didn't tell you in detail. The hood of the level 5 zombie should be a high-level magic weapon that can conceal its own position. If the corpse monument is not connected to the death net that controls the corpses of the level 5 zombies, it is impossible to know the hiding place of the zombies by other means. Rudolph nodded and agreed with Cooper's opinion. If it weren't for Cooper, he came to the sea burial island alone. Even if he knocked down all the corpses, he might not be able to find the location of the level 5 zombies. What's more, he didn't have the ability to kill so many apostle corpses, and he would be exhausted to death by the level 5 zombies. Your corpse monument is good and has helped me a lot. Let's go to the bell tower to get the relics of the level 5 zombie. As he walked, Cooper sighed, Rudolph, no wonder you dare to come to the sea burial island where there are suspected level 5 zombies. You have become so strong without knowing it. Don't be inferior, Cooper. The gap between people is sometimes greater than that between people and dogs. Cooper looked at Rudolph, who was tidying his hair, and was furious, but thinking about Rudolph's extremely powerful laser just now, he felt that it was okay for Rudolph to be proud. Turning a corner, Rudolph saw a little red-haired girl lying in the corner. This little girl was the little druid who helped Rudolph see through the strange situation here. After no one controlled her, she turned into a cold corpse again. Her red hair was no longer bright and became gray, which was the state that a corpse should have. Perhaps more than 10 years later, when someone enters the sea burial island again, he will find in horror that everyone on the island died and fell down in an instant. I don't know if his legs will be frightened. Cooper, can you accept these bodies? These are all great collections. Let's go see the corpse of the level 5 zombie first, Cooper said as he walked. The opposite of death is life. Old Grey did not leave any information about the level 5 zombie, and he himself did not know how to become a level 5 zombie. Coming to the sea burial island, I got some inspiration. Perhaps, the key to becoming a level 5 zombie is to make your corpse exude the breath of life as if you were still alive. Before you discovered the abnormality, I never thought that this island was the sea burial island, that fishing village, and those fishermen were so normal. Do you still remember the fisherman's disgusted eyes? How can a dead person have such vivid eyes? Yes, if I hadn't been impressed by this little girl, a red-haired druid who was less than 10 years old, I would not have noticed the abnormality here. Rudolph wanted to say something, but the next sentence stopped abruptly. A sharp thorn suddenly appeared and pierced Cooper's throat from back to front. The red-haired druid girl behind him launched a fatal attack on Cooper. First, there was a red fireball, and the magic of the level 5 trapped priest did not work. Then there was a sky-high explosion, with a diameter of more than 50 meters. All the bodies surrounding the two poor spectators were instantly flipped and flew backwards in the air. At this time, Rudolph poured all his star power into the tip of his cane. The gunpowder-trained finger plus the high explosive rune made the alchemist's ability most suitable for escaping at this time. The explosion was outward, and did not cause much damage to Rudolph and Cooper in the center. However, Rudolph pulled Cooper and jumped into the explosion before the explosion ended. Cooper understood that this was to give the enemy an unexpected attack, but his scalp still tightened the moment he rushed into the explosion. Rudolph's body had undergone a level 3 physical enhancement, while Cooper only had a level 2 physical enhancement. When the two rushed out of the explosion, Rudolph looked good, but Cooper was covered with burns. There was no other way. With the power of the explosion, Rudolph could quickly break through the defense of the corpse. After rushing out of the thick smoke, or being blown out of the thick smoke, Rudolph looked at the bell tower not far away. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 373. Cooper. The first target that the level 5 zombies eliminated was Cooper, not Rudolph. Is it because Cooper showed the corpse monument that made the level 5 zombies hate him even more? Sure enough, a professional sister-in-law said that only between peers is there naked hatred. With someone who can attract firepower around him, Rudolph felt the warmth from his friends. Look at how badly Cooper was injured, his throat was pierced, and the wooden spikes pierced out of Cooper's throat, bringing out a bunch of blood. Cooper was injured, and Rudolph felt painful in his heart. This was the first time that Rudolph felt that he was not the protagonist, and he was not targeted too much. Rudolph was obviously here to hunt for relics, but why was Cooper injured? Rudolph turned his head quickly and looked behind Cooper. The red-haired druid girl, who was originally leaning against the wall, was now covered in green flames. In front of these green flames, the flesh and blood on the girl's body melted and evaporated like wax, and her flesh and blood were burned dry in an instant, leaving only a white, small skeleton. Even though each bone was so thin, it put great pressure on Rudolph. Green flames flickered in the eye sockets of the small skull. The level 5 zombie is not dead. Rudolph felt very strange again. If the level 5 zombie is not dead, then why didn't he kill them directly? Where did you get the corpse monument? Answer me, boy. A hoarse voice came from the little skeleton. It turned out that he also knew the corpse monument and came to ask about the news of the corpse monument in person. I don't know what the corpse monument is, but it actually made a level 5 zombie so concerned. Rudolph was a little anxious. Can't you see it? Cooper can't speak. The spikes were still in Cooper's throat, and there were still blood flowers between the spikes and the throat. Rudolph and the level 5 zombie knew that such a wound was not fatal to the zombie, and the spikes suddenly shrank and disappeared into the soil. Cooper finally had the ability to react. He took out some suture thread from the space bag, and the suture thread automatically flew and sewed up his throat, which gave him an ugly scar on his throat. The level 5 zombie was obviously less than 1 meter tall, but he was the one who controlled the situation at this time. He was not in a hurry at all, watching Cooper sew up his throat. After adapting for a few seconds, Cooper said, "I can't tell you." The ghost fire in the little skeleton's eye hole kept jumping, and he was in a bad mood. "If you tell me where the corpse monument came from, I can even let you two leave alive." The little skeleton was about to continue talking, and Rudolph had already attacked. He waved his cane and rushed towards the little skeleton with the level 4 wolf blade breath. In the tentative attack, Rudolph's left hand was also ready to shoot finger fire, ready to deliver a fatal blow at will. However, what surprised Rudolph was that the little skeleton was instantly crushed by the wolf blade's breath, and the tiny and delicate bones broke one by one. Rudolph saw with his own eyes that the skull of the little skeleton cracked, and the green flame inside disappeared. Rudolph's face was not relaxed. This tentative attack only killed the skeleton, not the level 5 zombie. Immortality, this is the ability of immortality. It seems that the level 5 zombie can be resurrected on any collection like before. This immortality ability makes the zombie no longer afraid of the main body being attacked. Even if the main body is killed, he can be resurrected quickly. Suddenly, Rudolph remembered the Phoenix secret. The main relic is the level 5 zombie relic. Is the Phoenix wizard able to be reborn from the ashes because of this ability of the level 5 zombie? However, due to the addition of other relics, the basis for resurrection was changed from corpse to flame. Perhaps the existence of the knight's relics is to borrow the knight's powerful body so that the flesh can be preserved when resurrected to avoid becoming a skeleton like a zombie. At this moment, Rudolph was not frustrated, but excited. This is what he wanted. The star map did not lie to him. The giant corpse not far away stood up again and ran towards Rudolph and Cooper. Seeing that the two could not communicate, the level 5 zombie decided to use force to get the information he wanted. "Cooper, find another level 5 zombie. I'll try to kill him completely." Facing Rudolph's request, Cooper was very hesitant. The target of the level 5 zombie is the corpse monument. If I take it out again, I'm afraid that the level 5 zombie will come to grab the corpse monument. Believe me, Cooper. I dare to come because I have some trump cards. Cooper made up his mind and fought. Now he can only hope that Rudolph is really capable of killing the undead level 5 zombie. The red-haired little druid had been following her new grandmother. Rudolph soon found the old corpse, which still had tears on its face, as if it had cried in a hurry to find its granddaughter. After subduing it with the forest of thorns, Rudolph threw the corpse to Cooper. This corpse was not of high level, and had been tied up like a dumpling by Rudolph, so it would not cause much interference to Cooper. The corpses gathered around were troublesome, with a large number of them stacked up in layers. The giant whose arm was blown off by Rudolph had removed an arm from another corpse and sewed it to himself with suture thread. Zombies and their collections can use this method to replace limbs or organs for themselves. As long as the head is their own, the whole body can be replaced. A huge bone joint hit Rudolph. No, it hit the middle of Rudolph and Cooper. After the joint fell, Rudolph had to jump to the side. He didn't want to use the Lion King's Starfire once to resist this first attack. At the same time, he and Cooper were separated by joints, and Rudolph was now an eyesore. The level 5 trapped priest who had attacked before rushed to Cooper, while the level 5 giant, the level 5 alchemist holding a revolver, and a level 5 painful priest with an iron spike nailed to his body, aimed at Rudolph. Rudolph only wanted to gather these corpses together and find an opportunity to use the Lion King's Starfire to destroy these level 5 apostle corpses. However, this meant that he was far away from Cooper. Cooper summoned the corpse monument again, and the corpse monument drilled out from the ground, as if it had been following Cooper's feet. He found out the next second that there was no need to work hard to find the level 5 zombies. The level 5 zombies came up by themselves. The corpse tied up by thorns had a strong green ghost fire on its body. It was obviously a flame, but it gave people an extremely cold feeling. The flame was not burning, but absorbing the surrounding heat. When he saw the ghost fire, Cooper felt that his mood was much heavier, as if he was afraid of watching a cremation. In a short time, the green ghost fire burned the flesh of the corpse dry, turning it into an old, hunched skeleton. The clothes on the corpse and Rudolph's thorns were also extremely fragile and burned directly. Cooper wanted to stop it, but it was too late. The level 5 zombie actually stretched out its black skeleton arm to the corpse monument. Rudolph. It's fatal. Come quickly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 374. The target of the level 5 zombie was the corpse monument. Green ghost fire burst out of his eye sockets, illuminating his skull. The gushing ghost fire proved the excitement of the level 5 zombie. Cooper quickly dodged in front of the corpse monument and wanted to take it back. As long as the corpse monument completely entered the ground, it would disappear without a trace. However, he was too close to the level 5 zombie, and Cooper could not resist at all. The level 5 zombie was so impatient that his skeleton palm pierced Cooper's chest like a spike and grabbed the corpse monument. The original body of the skeleton was an old lady. The skeleton was too old and had severe osteoporosis. Cooper even heard the sound of broken bones. The arm bone was even broken in Cooper's chest. The level 5 zombie was so excited at this time that he didn't care whether his arm was broken or not. The corpse monument had just dropped 1/3, and his skeleton hand just grabbed the upper edge of the corpse monument. At the moment of contact with the corpse monument, the level 5 zombie not only had ghost fire in its eye holes, but also had turquoise flames in its sunken nasal cavity, its mouth with only a few teeth left, its chest and pelvic cavity, and between the two bones of its forearms and calves. So much so that the area within a few dozen meters around was stained green, and this green was like mold, emitting an unclean light. Cooper's chest was pierced, which was not fatal. What frightened him was that the corpse monument was escaping his control. Cooper's order was to let the corpse monument sink and disappear, but under the grasp of the level 5 zombie's white bone palm, the corpse monument was slowly lifted up. The wills of both sides confronted each other in the corpse monument, and Cooper's influence on the corpse monument became smaller and smaller. He saw turquoise flames appear on the corpse monument, and after being burned by the flames, words appeared on the corpse monument. Only level 5 zombies can play the true role of the corpse monument. The originally black and smooth corpse monument was actually engraved with words. But those words were very blurry and Cooper could not distinguish them. Cooper's resistance made the level 5 zombie very irritated. His other skeleton palm grabbed Cooper's head fiercely. The finger bones pierced into the flesh on Cooper's head. This was to make him into a collection of level 5 zombies. All this happened too quickly. In less than 2 seconds, Cooper lost his resistance. A chill that he couldn't bear appeared in his body. This chill took away the last temperature of Cooper's body. This was death approaching. "Rudolph, where are you?" Cooper's vision was green. The influence of the level 5 zombies on him was getting deeper and deeper. It only took 1 or 2 seconds for him to become a collection of level 5 zombies. Before losing consciousness, Cooper turned his eyes and looked for Rudolph. It was Rudolph who was desperately rushing over. "Rudolph, you have to hurry." Cooper insisted on not falling asleep. Death is like eternal sleep. As long as you lose consciousness, you will never wake up again. The pupillary sphincter can no longer restrain the pupil. Cooper's pupil is dilating and his vision is blurry. As if separated by a thick green cloth, Cooper's vision is getting blurrier and blurrier. The corpse monument is almost pulled off the ground and is as high as Cooper's head. Mount Zion on the magma, the level 5 zombie's mouth made an unusually hoarse voice, the end of death and the beginning of new life. Mount Zion. Feeling the breath from Mount Zion, the level 5 zombie is extremely excited. When Rudolph used the Lion King spark twice in a row to break through the blockade of the level 5 giant, he found that 2 more level 5 apostles appeared in front of him. With a limited number of sparks, Rudolph was unable to break through the blockade of the corpses. The cold corpses blocked Rudolph, and there were more and more corpses around. They were obedient puppets who only knew to obey the orders of the level 5 zombies. Countless dead people, near and far, stared at Rudolph. Only Cooper's eyes deflected and looked at Rudolph on the side. There were 2 level 5 apostles between him and Rudolph. Just when Cooper thought it was too late and he was going to die, 2 red lights suddenly lit up in his dark green vision. Cooper's eyes turned green. He saw Rudolph and 2 red flames. When the red flames appeared, they brought precious and familiar warmth to Cooper. These 2 red lights were not the dazzling red lights of the Lion King Starfire, but 2 faint red lights flickering like candlelight. The location where these 2 red lights appeared was also very special, in Rudolph's pupils. In the moment of looking at Cooper, it was like seeing the sun at noon, and the coldness brought by death was dispelled. Aries pupil fire, Rudolph's third fire forbidden technique. Aries, the founding constellation of spring, is both the beginning of spring and the beginning of the year. Therefore, Aries represents a beginning and a new life. Aries pupil fire is not as hot and violent as Lion star fire, nor as sharp as Sagittarius finger fire. Instead, it is more like the last flame of a large forest fire that is about to go out. When the last trace of the forest fire disappears, the forest fire is completely over, and all things will slowly be reborn in the ashes. Rudolph saw the terrible green in Cooper's eyes, which was the ghost fire of the level 5 zombie. The magic of the level 5 trapped priest descended again, and Rudolph fell into a prison 10 floors underground. There was no light around, only endless darkness. However, the pupil fire became the only light in this endless darkness. Ignoring all the corpses, when Rudolph saw Cooper's eyes were lit. In Cooper's eyes, the green ghost fire became the fuel for Aries pupil fire, and the green was roasted and turned into red little by little. The bone palm that was pressing on Cooper's head suddenly bounced up as if it was burned. However, it was too late, and the red flames were burning on the bones. Ares' pupil fire, the fire of rebirth and cleansing. When Ares was lit, Rudolph knew the effect of this rebirth and cleansing fire. First of all, pupil fire has a strong restraining effect on negative states. All negative states, such as charm, abstinence, fanaticism, etc., cannot resist the cleansing power of pupil fire. Under the gaze of pupil fire, Rudolph's spirit will be reborn again and again, making all negative states disappear with the rebirth. The second function of pupil fire is to attack the enemy at the soul level. Rudolph has not figured out the soul attack yet. When he saw the green ghost fire of the zombie, Rudolph quickly judged that Ares' pupil fire is the nemesis of ghost fire. Death and rebirth are the opposite sides of each other. The Ares pupil fire can completely suppress the ghost fire in nature, because rebirth is more powerful than death. Death is permanent extinction, and rebirth is short-term activity. Death is easy, and living is more difficult. The level 5 zombie was shocked to find that his skeleton arm was burning, and the ghost fire on his arm seemed to have become some kind of flammable gas. Slightly shaking his shoulders, the skeleton arm was broken at the shoulder. The zombie wanted to use this method to cut off the red flame that suddenly appeared. After the bones fell to the ground, they became ordinary bones. There was no trace of burning on them. Whether it was the ghost fire or the pupil fire, it was more of a flame targeting the soul. There was no heat in reality. A hoarse scream suddenly came from the mouth of the level 5 zombie. All the corpses looked at the level 5 zombie at this moment. In the eye holes of the level 5 zombie skull, below the green ghost fire, a trace of red flame appeared, and the Ares pupil fire began to burn the fire of rebirth and cleansing in the depths of the zombie soul. New life is the most wonderful thing for other people, but for zombies, it is like the most powerful poison. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 375. If the arm is broken, replace it with another one. If the body is broken, replace it with another one. Flesh will always rot, and zombies don't care about flesh. When the level 5 zombies found that this body was contaminated by strange red flames, the level 5 zombies quickly replaced the body. The hunched skeleton of an old woman, the bones were not connected by the zombie power, and the bones were scattered all over the ground. It was a pity for Cooper. The two forearm bones of the skeleton, a radius and an ulna, were still pierced on his chest. Without the control of the level 5 zombies, the green ghost fire was no longer burning on the corpse monument. Cooper first experienced a hand bone piercing his heart, and the zombies almost made him a collection. There was still ghost fire in his body, and he completely lost consciousness and fell forward on the corpse monument. The corpse monument became an ordinary black stone tablet. Without the power of zombies, it was no different from other stones. The corpse closest to the corpse monument suddenly had green ghost fire on his body, and the ghost fire burned his corrupt flesh and blood, leaving only bones. The level 5 zombie had a new body. After the skeleton appeared, it immediately ran to the corpse monument. However, he had just taken 2 steps when all the corpses looked at the new skeleton again. Red flames appeared again in the eye sockets of the new skeleton. The skeleton quickly turned his head and looked at another intruder who had been controlled by the magic not far away. At this time, the level 5 zombie paid attention to this wizard for the first time. The intruder closed his eyes under the control of the magic, but there were 2 shaking flames jumping in his eyes. The flames were so weak that they could be blown out by a gust of wind like candlelight. Only the level 5 zombie knew how terrifying the flames were. The ghost fire that he was proud of was so fragile that it could not withstand a single blow. Ares Wizard. You are Ares Wizard. The zombies knew something about the things that restrain the ghost fire. The level 5 zombies immediately guessed that the wizard in front of them was an Ares Wizard. The reason why it is just a guess is that in the long life of the zombie, this is the first time he has faced the zombie's biggest nemesis, the Ares Wizard. The number of Ares Wizards who master the new cleansing fire is very, very small. In the recorded history, only a few people know this flame. Those Ares wizards who master the new cleansing fire are all students of the legendary first wizard, the immortal Ares wizard Ptolemy. Ptolemy is immortal, so Ptolemy's inheritance is extremely precious. Ares wizards can be said to be the fewest wizards, with no more than 10 people in total. Did Ptolemy accept wizard apprentices again? In the War of Gods more than 2,000 years ago, Ptolemy was the court wizard of Emperor Alec the Great, helping Alec defeat the gods. Every time Ptolemy appears in the world, it represents the arrival of troubled times. Ptolemy always comes out to guide the changes of the continent when the world is about to be destroyed. At this moment, the level 5 zombie's cognition was deviated. He was getting more and more scared in his wild thoughts. Thinking back to his life, which he had already vaguely remembered, he had done many evil things, but he would not attract the attention of the Ares wizard Ptolemy. The green ghost fire in the eye hole of the skeleton disappeared, and he could not even hold on for another second. All the corpses froze in place at this moment, because their master, the level 5 zombie, had no intention of controlling them. One by one, the corpses were burned into bones by the ghost fire, and the bones would fall apart in less than a few seconds. In the deepest basement of the town, a corpse opened his eyes, and he quickly turned into bones. The whole room was illuminated by the ghost fire and turned pale green. The next moment, red flames appeared in the green flames, and the bones immediately fell apart. Above the dark clouds in the sky above the town, there was an airship hidden to prevent the enemy from escaping from the air. A corpse on the airship woke up, and the sun shone on the corpse, making the corpse's movements sluggish. The turquoise ghost fire overwhelmed the sunlight, and the corpse turned into a skeleton, but the next moment, the skeleton screamed. The sunlight made the Ares pupil fire more vigorous. In just a moment, 1/3 of the ghost fire in the skeleton's eye sockets turned red. Damn, the Ares wizard's newborn cleansing fire appeared too little, and the level 5 zombie didn't know that the sunlight could enhance the power of this flame. On the seabed outside the port, a corpse emerged from the coral. Soaking in the sea water for a long time made the corpse swollen, but this did not affect the use of the level 5 zombie. On the dark seabed, a turquoise flame lit up. In a very short time, the swollen flesh and blood of the corpse burned clean, leaving only a skeleton. In the eye sockets of the skeleton, turquoise flames jumped. However, the level 5 zombie felt the heat from the depths of his soul. Since becoming a zombie, he has never felt heat, and this inexplicable heat made his jaw tremble. Half of the green flame in the eye socket has turned red. The strange flame created by the Ares wizard, fueled by the soul of a level 5 zombie, is burning wildly. On the sea burial island, all the corpses fell to the ground at this moment, and there was no sound. Rudolph stood in the middle of many corpses, and tears of blood flowed from the corners of his eyes. His eyes were red, and the capillaries in his eyeballs were constantly bursting. A steady stream of blood was sent to the pupil fire, making the pupil fire burn more vigorously. The blood vessels in the eyeballs were too fine, and the blood that could be provided at a time was very small, so Rudolph's pupil fire was likely to go out at any time. In order to increase the stability of the pupil fire, Rudolph had to let more blood vessels burst to provide excess blood, and the excess blood kept flowing from the corners of his eyes. This is a survivor game that must be persevered. Whoever fails will die. In the fishing village at the edge of the sea burial island, the fisherman who fished out Rudolph and Cooper opened his eyes on the beach. His flesh and blood were burning, and the surrounding area was filled with green blood mist. He opened the rope and quickly jumped onto the fishing boat. When he landed on the deck, he had completely turned into a skeleton. The skeleton shook the oars and fled out. This place is several kilometers away from the town, but the vision of the level 5 zombies is all red. The attack of the Ares wizard followed like a thorn in the flesh. The level 5 zombie is already very weak, and he can't even use the fisherman's original apostle ability. He can only rely on instinct and paddle to the sea. In the eye sockets of the skull, the red Aries pupil fire has taken the upper hand, and the green ghost fire is getting weaker and weaker, and the inside of the skull is even reflected in red. In the center of the town, Rudolph knelt on the ground, covering his eyes with his hands, twitching in pain. Just a little bit. Rudolph suddenly reached for his cane, and a thorny spike grew on the cane. After breaking off the spike, Rudolph used it to cut his eyebrow. A large amount of blood flowed from the eyebrows to the eyelids, and then flowed into the eyes. With the help of fresh blood, the pupil fire was like a candle flame blown by the wind. After a short dimming, it instantly burst into flames. On the small fishing boat on the sea in the distance, the lower half of the skeleton had fallen apart, and the level 5 zombie lay on the deck in despair. Only the fire in the skull proved that he was not dead yet. After a short struggle of a few seconds, the level 5 zombie painfully stabbed the hand bone into the eye hole, trying to suppress the pupil fire with the hand bone, but this was just a subconscious futile effort before his death. How could the finger bone suppress the Aries pupil fire? In the pale skull, the last trace of green ghost fire was burned out by the Aries pupil fire, and the two flames were extinguished at the same time. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 376. Squinting slightly, the blood between the upper and lower eyelids was full of blood, and the eyelids were shaking because of the pain. Blood beads squeezed out drop by drop, and blood stains hung on his face, which made Rudolph look very miserable. When he mastered the water phase forbidden technique, he hardly felt the side effects, but the 3 fire phase forbidden techniques made Rudolph suffer a lot. Water phase wizards are more suitable for water phase witch language and water phase forbidden techniques. The fire phase opposite to water is too much for Rudolph. The blood burning in the Aries pupil fire is not much, but the eyeball has a special structure. It is a torture to supply blood to the pupil fire through capillaries. If it were not for his strong desire for immortality, he would not be able to hold on. Finally, he could relax a little. Rudolph sat back. He thought he would sit on the ground, but the touch from his butt told him that there was a corpse behind him. He was just sneakily touched by this corpse. If the level 5 zombie had not died first, he would definitely be attacked. When the level 5 zombies were alive, this town was like a normal town. Now that the level 5 zombies are dead, the stench of corpses is everywhere. The corpse under Rudolph was the same. The flesh and blood were inexplicably soft and had no elasticity. He took out the plague doctor's syringe, which automatically generated liquid medicine. After flushing his eyes, Rudolph was finally able to open his eyes. The vision he saw was black, as if many cells in the eyeballs had died, making the eyeball's ability to capture light very poorly. He first found Cooper and found that Cooper was lying there motionless. Rudolph hurried to Cooper's side, but he couldn't wake him up no matter how he called. He opened Cooper's eyelids to see if Cooper was still alive. He was very worried because he clearly saw Cooper's pupils dilated during the battle just now. When Rudolph pulled Cooper's eyelids open, Rudolph's heavy eyelids were lifted a lot, and he was startled by Cooper's eyes. The pupils in Cooper's eyes had indeed dissipated, and the eyeballs became colorful and very strange. His eyeballs were half turquoise and half red. The turquoise came from the level 5 zombies, whose power transformed Cooper's body and almost made Cooper a collection. The red came from Rudolph, whose pupil fire finally resisted the attack of the turquoise ghost fire. The two colors intertwined in the center of the eyeballs and turned into bright yellow, which made Cooper's eyes become vertical pupils like a crocodile, yellow linear vertical pupils, turquoise on the left and red on the right. "Cooper, don't die." A breath was stuck in his heart, and he couldn't breathe for a long time. Rudolph didn't know what to do. He looked around and saw the corpse monument. This corpse monument was something that all level 5 zombies wanted. Maybe the corpse monument could be useful? Rudolph put the corpse monument down and put Cooper on it. The moment the corpse monument touched Cooper, a lot of Black Death energy suddenly rose. These dead airs made Rudolph feel extremely cold, as if he had come to a snowy field at -20 degrees. Rudolph felt a chill all over his body, as if his vitality had been stolen. He retreated to a distance and raised his hand to see that age spots, like light-colored moles, appeared on the back of his hand. Putting down his hand, Rudolph looked at Cooper and the corpse monument with great expectation. The black dead air roamed over Cooper, and the dead air that touched Cooper's eyes seemed to boil. Rudolph was suddenly very excited. There was a change, and a change was a good thing. A stronger dead air emerged from the corpse monument, and the dead air eventually rushed to Cooper's eyes, where there seemed to be two holes, accommodating countless black dead air. Cooper's eyes were open, colorful, but staring at the rainy sky without spirit. The black dead air eventually covered Cooper's terrible pupils. I don't know how long it took, maybe half an hour, maybe 50 minutes, Cooper's throat suddenly made a hoarse sound, his chest slowly bulged, and I don't know how much air he took in. Half a minute later, Cooper's chest was still expanding, like a round balloon. What made Rudolph extremely nervous was that the green parts of Cooper's eyeballs began to burn with green ghost fire. Rudolph closed his eyes suddenly, and when he opened his eyes again, Ares' pupil fire burned in his eyes. Could it be that the level 5 zombie is not dead? As soon as the pupil fire was lit, Rudolph's eyes began to shed blood and tears again. The whole eyeball was burning with pain, but Rudolph was forcing himself to prepare for the level 5 zombie. But he didn't attack immediately, he still had the last fluke. Maybe, Cooper won't die. He had just burned a level 5 zombie to death. In Cooper's eye sockets, the green ghost fire burned more and more vigorously, and the red light in the ghost fire flashed, and the residual power of the pupil fire left by Rudolph in Cooper's eyes disappeared. What made Rudolph even more anxious was that Cooper's eyeballs also disappeared completely, and the entire eyeball became a hole. Cooper! Cooper, is that you? Don't die, Cooper. After the eyeballs were burned, the eyelids, eyebrows, forehead, cheeks, ears, lips, chin, hair, neck began to burn. In just a short time, the flesh and blood on Cooper's body disappeared, leaving only a skeleton. Not only that, there was no longer any Black Death on the corpse monument, but a green flame was burning. Cooper's skeleton sat up on the corpse monument, and the corpse monument also burned green ghost fire, surrounding Cooper. The skeleton turned his head and glanced around. He first saw Rudolph, who wanted to go up but didn't dare to. Rudolph also saw the ghost fire burning in Cooper's skull. Rudolph, you dared to trespass on my sea burial island. Now, do you regret it? Hearing this, Rudolph felt like he was falling into an ice cellar. At this moment, it was no longer important whether he could defeat the level 5 zombies. Rudolph buried his face in his hands, shaking uncontrollably. In this cold alien world, he didn't have many friends, only Claude and Cooper. Claude was dead. Was Cooper dead too? When Rudolph looked up again, the fire in his eyes was so strong that it almost burst out. Even redder than the fire was Rudolph's red eyes. With his emotions agitated, the blood vessels in his eyes burst one by one, and Rudolph's anger made the surroundings extremely hot. The skeleton felt the threat from the depths of the soul, which was the most restrained soul flame against the zombies. The zombies were not afraid of any injuries on the body, but were afraid of attacks from the soul. Wait. Wait. It's me. Don't get excited, it's me, I'm not dead, I just pretended to be a level 5 zombie to scare you. The skeleton on the corpse monument shrank back in fear, and the red pupils made Cooper feel instinctive fear. Just kidding, Rudolph, I'm really not a level 5 zombie, no. I'm a level 5 zombie, but not the level 5 zombie just now, I'm a new level 5 zombie, I just got promoted. Rudolph was stunned, and a hoarse voice came out of the skeleton's open jaw. Listening to the tone, It seems to be somewhat similar to the previous Cooper. How do you prove that you are Cooper? In the skeleton's eye holes, the ghost fire kept jumping, showing that he was thinking hard. It seems that after becoming a skeleton, Cooper's thinking has become much slower. Do you remember, when we just met, I called you annoying patrolman, and I was still Clown Cooper at that time. Rudolph's heart beat faster. Could it really be Cooper? When the skeleton sat up just now, he called out Rudolph's name at the first time. The owner of the sea burial island should not know who they are. And, I once found a female druid corpse for collection, and you slandered me, saying that I played heavy tastes and that I was immoral. When he said this, Rudolph believed that the skeleton in front of him was Cooper. He almost forgot about this matter, but Cooper still remembered it. He suddenly thought of a better way to verify it. If he got the relics of the level 5 zombie, then the person in front of him must be Cooper. This is a bad joke in hell, suspected to be Cooper. Now you come with me to find the relics of the level 5 zombie. If you don't find it, then you are dead. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 377. Rudolph, I didn't realize you were so timid before. I just want to scare you. Look at you, your eyes are on fire. Don't burn your eyebrows. Unlike Cooper, who was dancing and shaking his bony arms excitedly, Rudolph's eyes, which had just recovered, were more seriously injured. You can't fly during the day. I'll take you. Hurry up. Let's go find the remains of the level 5 zombie. The ability to fly is very rare. Only the vampires have wings, and they must fly at night. They will be burned by the sun during the day. The ghost fire flickered in the skeleton's eye holes. The skeleton was very excited. He was busy beside the giant's corpse for a while. I don't know how he did it, but the dead giant came back to life again. The level 5 giant knelt on the ground and put his hands in front of Rudolph and Cooper. Let's go, let the giant take us away. In fact, when he got here, Rudolph believed that the skeleton was Cooper. Cooper's behavior reflected his excitement when he was just promoted. But for the sake of safety, Rudolph still wanted to see the remains of the level 5 zombie first. After standing on the giant's hand, the giant lifted the two to the highest point. The 100-meter giant's palm was facing up, and the palm reached a height of 150 meters. At this time, the whole picture of the sea burial island was in sight. There was nothing special about the island itself. It was only because of the existence of level 5 zombies that it became a forbidden area in the surrounding sea. The dark clouds in the sky suddenly broke, and an airship fell from the sky. Level 5 zombies have prepared a lot of means, and this airship is one of his backup means. Rudolph, it's you who can kill level 5 zombies. I now know that as long as the collection is not dead, level 5 zombies will not die. The skeleton turned his head and stared at Rudolph with the ghost fire in his eye sockets. Rudolph, what is the fire in your eyes? Why can it restrain zombies? If you are Cooper, then you must be careful of Ares wizards in the future. High-level Ares wizards have a forbidden technique, the new cleansing fire, named it is pupil fire, which can eliminate negative states, carry out soul attacks, and restrain the ghost fire of the zombies that represents death. Oh, I see. The inheritance of the Ares wizard is in the hands of the legendary Ptolemy. The number of wizard apprentices he accepted is very limited and very rare. I will use pupil fire with caution in the future, and I will not have anything to do with big figures like Ptolemy for the time being. Cooper did not ask Rudolph why he could master the skills that only top Ares wizards can do. Rudolph has too many secrets, and this secret is not even on the list. The airship carried the two of them and flew to the other side of the sea burial island. The level 5 zombie prepared an airship in the sky, and prepared many backups buried in the mud in the sea, and there were corpses hidden on the patrol ship, but they could not save his life. It's really pitiful. If you meet an Ares wizard, you must tell me, I have to stay away from him. From a long distance, Rudolph saw the fishing boat that salvaged the two of them, and this fishing boat also became the last tool for the level 5 zombies to escape. After landing on the fishing boat, Rudolph saw a dry fishing net, which proved that the fisherman had no performance today. In addition, there was a skeleton. Starlight representing the relic flashed on the skull, and Rudolph picked it up. The skull disappeared in Rudolph's hand, and at the same time, a meteor flashed in Rudolph's mind. It was indeed a relic of a level 5 zombie. This relic crossed the starry sky and lit up the Gemini Alpha star. The progress of Gemini came to 1/17. Gemini occupies a large area in the starry sky, with 17 bright stars. The process of lighting up Gemini is destined to be very long. I really hope to meet a family bucket of a certain type of apostle and make a fortune. 3 options fell from the Gemini Alpha star: level 5 zombie finger bones, level 5 zombie ghost fire, and level 5 Nantian Juju constellation secret formula. It turns out that one level 5 relic does not necessarily exchange for 2 secret formulas, like this time only 1 secret formula was exchanged. Rudolph had seen the Giant Lord magic weapon, but that ability was not attractive to him, so he did not want to exchange the secret formula. The level 5 zombie finger bone and Rudolph should be similar to the zombie tooth he used before, which is to make a magic weapon that can control the level 5 corpse. Level 5 zombie ghost fire: this is a witchcraft that allows Rudolph to have the kind of witchcraft that burns the enemy into bones. This witchcraft is very good and very applicable. It is a convenient way to kill people and destroy corpses. Rudolph chose the level 5 zombie ghost fire. He can only use this witchcraft after he becomes a level 5 wizard. The ghost fire is difficult to resist. It is a very strange attack method and very useful. After getting the level 5 zombie relic, Rudolph turned his head and looked at Cooper on the fishing boat. "Cooper, it's really you. Do you believe it now?" "I said it was really me. I was just joking with you to scare you. I've been promoted to a level 5 zombie. Don't make such a hellish joke in the future. I almost killed you just now." "Hee, you make it sound like you can kill me at any time." Although he was tough, Cooper was still afraid of Rudolph's pupils. The red eyes made Rudolph look like a rabbit now. Rudolph's eyes got lower and lower, and finally fell on Cooper's pelvis. "What are you doing? Although I am a skeleton now, you can't stare at my crotch." Rudolph sighed. "Cooper, I'm sorry." "What do you mean? Did you do anything to me when I was unconscious? You pervert." "No, I didn't do anything. I just put you on the tombstone. I mean, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been promoted here." Cooper was very confused. Isn't promotion a good thing? Promotion is indeed a good thing, but, Cooper, you are still a virgin, right? Rudolph's tone was very, very low. "If I hadn't insisted on coming to the Sea Burial Island, you wouldn't have become a level 5 zombie at such a young age. Although I don't know your father, I feel very sorry for him. Not only did you not leave any children, but you are also a virgin and turned into a skeleton. Really, until the day I die, I have to sit up from the coffin and slap myself hard. I feel so guilty." Rudolph's expression was as if Cooper had missed a billion gold shields. "Virgin? What's wrong with being a virgin? A virgin has never harmed any girl. Don't you and Claude feel guilty?" "Claude will never feel guilty for meeting a beautiful woman. I will only feel sorry for myself because I have met too few beautiful women. I am a virgin and I am proud." Cooper finally understood why Rudolph was staring at his pelvis. "Rudolph. Women will only affect my pace of increasing my collection. Look at you and Claude, both of you have suffered because of women, but I haven't. What's good about women? Women are a burden. Don't ask others for help in everything, it's better to ask yourself. Facing Cooper, who was getting more and more excited, Rudolph kept shaking his head. Cooper shouted for a long time. It turns out that skeletons can get tired too. There was an awkward silence in the air. After a few minutes, he suddenly asked weakly, "Is that really interesting?" "Yes, no," Rudolph quickly changed his words, "women enjoy that, while men are tired and suffer. It doesn't matter if there is no such thing. It's so miserable. Apostles like zombies shouldn't exist. It's so miserable." Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 378. Sea Burial Island, which has been silent for many years, is extremely lively today. The battle with the intruders was short, started quickly, and ended quickly, with many bodies not having time to show up. Corpses came one after another from all over the Sea Burial Island. Some came from fishing villages, some came from cemeteries outside the city, some came from basements, and some came from the battlefield. All the corpses were arranged in square formations according to level, making it easier for Cooper to sort them out. Standing at the front are 4 level 5 apostles, followed by more than 30 level 4 apostles, and behind them are more than 300 level 3 apostles. As for level 2 and level 1 apostles, the number is around 2,000. The collection of level 5 living green skeletons accumulated over a lifetime was all advantageous to Cooper. Some of these corpses are very well maintained, just as they were before death, while others are poorly maintained and their bodies are rotting away. Most of the corpses that rotted were low-level corpses that were not taken seriously. The corpses of level 5 and 4 apostles looked just like living people. There was a lot of dust on the clothes they wore, but the fabrics were all good. Any corpse that has been parasitized by level 5 zombies will completely turn into bones. Rudolph specifically went to find the little red-haired girl, but unfortunately she had turned into a small skeleton and could not move. This Sea Burial Island is so big, how come there are only 4 level 5 apostles? Cooper was greedy and thought there were too few level 5 apostles. That's not enough for you. Looking at the black corpses of the apostles, Rudolph felt frightened. He didn't know how long it took the living corpses to collect so many corpses. He said, "Level 5 apostles are not cabbages in the field. The number is small. The corpses of 4 level 5 apostles are far beyond my expectations. In any force, level 5 apostles are the absolute top. Level 5 a knight is qualified to be a count, a level 5 alchemist is at least the deputy speaker of the provincial council, and a level 5 priest can be in charge of a parish. Do you think there are many level 5 apostles?" Cooper has a different view on this. Promoting to level 5 is quite easy. If you are knocked unconscious by a level 5 living zombie and close your eyes and open them again, doesn't that mean you have been promoted? What's the difficulty? Oh, shit, there's nothing to say. Comparing people to each other is irritating. Rudolph is still thinking hard about becoming a level 5 wizard, but Cooper is making sarcastic remarks here. His promotion makes people jealous. You were too heavy-handed just now. Many corpses were damaged, especially my level 5 giant corpse. The newly installed arms are so uncoordinated. I have to change them. The level 5 giant had one of his arms blown off by Rudolph. Later, a living corpse sewed a new arm on the giant. The new arm was very thin and incongruous with the giant's burly body, just like a toy arm. Cooper picked through the phalanx of corpses and finally found a thick arm. That's it? You have a good physique. The corpse next to him wielded a machete and cut off the arm of the burly corpse. Cooper took the arm and sewed the new arm onto the level 5 giant corpse. This is a way of repairing and collecting living corpses. They are all corpses, and anyone's arms can be used regardless of you or me. In addition to level 5 giants, there are also level 5 distress priests, level 5 alchemists, and level 5 pain priests. These corpses have red faces and lively eyes, and they don't look like dead people at all. The level 5 alchemist did not appear in the battle. He had just arrived from the port. The Green Skull used to be a big pirate, and the level 5 alchemist corpse was the Green Skull's pirate captain. At the end of the battle, he had just sailed a large ship to the port and had not yet joined the battle. Rudolph on land had already ended the battle. Rudolph stood in front of two level 5 priests. "Come on, let me hear you curse the evil god a few times. How do you internally curse your master?" The level 5 trapped priest gave Rudolph a roll of his eyes and turned his head to stop looking at Rudolph. "I don't believe you won't get it without scolding. You are all dead. Be bold." The level 5 pain priest was a grumpy middle-aged man when he was alive. He yelled and wanted to fight Rudolph desperately, but he was restrained by Cooper and could not decide his own actions. The behavior of the pain priest shocked Rudolph. Are these corpses so unique? Even their anger is so realistic. "Rudolph, I can't let the evil priests betray the evil god. They must remain pious to the evil god after death, otherwise they will not be able to use magic." Cooper waved his hand, and the painful priests calmed down. "If I open their restrictions, and without giving orders, they will act on instinct." This surprised Rudolph. Unexpectedly, these priests still maintained their faith despite being turned into corpses. Cooper is wearing the cloak of the previous level 5 zombie. This cloak can completely block the breath of the zombie, and it can also block Cooper's current skeleton form. He was busy sewing sutures, and the arms exposed from his sleeves looked like bones. On the road to pursuing power, the price is huge. Cooper has lost his flesh and blood, leaving only a white skeleton. Seeing Rudolph studying the cloak, Cooper said, "This cloak is not a witchcraft. It is an ordinary cloak with the enshrinement spell added to it. It is a level 5 living corpse spell that can cover the breath and prevent people from detecting what's inside. Disguising the corpse as a living person to attack others is one of the methods of living corpses." In coffining technique, Rudolph was very interested. "I want one too, so I won't be afraid of others discovering me." "Okay, I'll make one for you later. This one was pierced by your finger fire, so I'll repair it together later." In addition to these corpses, Cooper also found the residence of level 5 living corpses. This living corpse lives in a dark, windowless bunker, like a huge stone coffin. There are few things in the bunker, only a wooden bed and a desk. Level 5 zombies have no flesh and blood, do not need food or drink, do not feel uncomfortable without a mattress, and do not feel cold or hot. Maybe he is like the corpses outside, constantly falling into sleep. Level 5 zombies are immortal, which means that it is difficult to kill a level 5 zombie in a battle, not immortality. Zombies will also age and die naturally. Judging from the layout of this bunker, the life of a level 5 zombie is boring and cold, like an old man. The desk is where the zombies write their diaries. Without a brain, the zombies' thinking becomes dull and their memories gradually blur, so he writes down all the things in the past in thick notebooks. There are very few records in the past few years, and he only wakes up once a week or so. No wonder after Rudolph and Cooper entered the Sea Burial Island, the zombies arranged a drama and played with Rudolph and Cooper for a long time. It should be because he was too bored. Rudolph flipped through his diary, especially the diary when he was young. Level 5 zombies are called Green Skulls. At their peak, they were the 8th largest pirates in the Sargasso Sea. Green Skull's fleet had 5 large ships at most, and its flagship was also called Green Skull. It once made a feat of challenging the El Bashi Sea Fleet alone, and the El Bashi Sea Fleet finally won miserably. The corpse of the level 5 alchemist was the deputy naval commander of the El Bashi Sea Fleet. Level 5 trapped priests were announced by the Pantheon to hunt down Green Skulls, and the navies of multiple churches destroyed the rebuilt Green Skull fleet. Because the Pantheon could not kill Green Skull, they had to let the trapped church guard Green Skull. Green Skull could hide a corpse anywhere, and he could be resurrected after killing Green Skull. When guarding Green Skull, it was more difficult to prevent him from escaping than to prevent him from committing suicide. As long as Green Skull committed suicide, all arrangements would be useless. This sea burial island was originally used to imprison Green Skull, but later Green Skull killed level 5 trapped priests and forced the Pantheon to negotiate. The final result was that Green Skull retired and the Pantheon no longer hunted him. When Green Skull was young, he was simply a bully on the ancient sea. He relied on his immortality to beat anyone he caught, and no one would submit. Whether it was the kingdoms in the north or the Pantheon in the south, they were all tormented by him. Unfortunately, he was imprisoned for more than 10 years. Even though he wiped out the trapped priests who guarded him, he was too old and had no spirit. He no longer made trouble and only acted as a director on the sea burial island to pass the time. Cooper, study the things in Green Skull's diary carefully. It will be very useful to you. Unlike the dullness of his residence, there is Green Skull's warehouse next to it, which is full of treasures and gold shields. Green Skull is really rich. He actually has 600,000 Pantheon gold shields, only slightly less than Rudolph. He is really pitiful. He is dead, but there is still so much money. Rudolph and Cooper had to take half each to complete his unfinished business for him. Cooper is now considered a rich man and no longer has to worry about money. After dealing with the corpses and property, the two came to the seaside. The Green Skull, the flagship of the level 5 zombies when they were rampant in the Sarago Sea, has been parked in a bay of the sea burial island as the zombies have become silent. It has not been out to sea for a long time. The ship is very large, with a flag of a green skull on a black background hanging on it. The ship is also very old. It is actually a sailing paddle boat. There is no steam turbine, and the power comes from the tireless paddling of the corpses. Those long paddles have decayed for a small half, and the ship needs a major overhaul to return to its peak condition. There is thick dust everywhere on the sea ship, and I don't know how long it has been covered in dust. The railings, masts, decorations, etc. on the ship are all products of the last century, and they reveal the heavy sense of history everywhere. The Green Skull is equipped with 40 cannons. These cannons are very old and very crude. Unlike the current cannons, the barrel wall is much thinner after the material technology has been improved. The alchemical reinforcement array of this ship is level 5, and its defense capability is stronger than that of the Bauhinia. When they return to the Bauhinia, Rudolph plans to ask the level 5 alchemist to draw a level 5 reinforcement array for the Bauhinia. After plundering all the collections of level 5 zombies, Rudolph and Cooper held a grand funeral for the corpses. Level 5, 4, and 3 apostles are still useful to Cooper now, but those level 1 and 2 apostles, as many as more than 2,000, are not very useful except for rebirth. The poor suddenly became rich, and Cooper looked down on the corpses of level 1 and 2 apostles. Cooper will send more than 2,000 level 1 and 2 apostles to the depths of the sea according to the custom of sea burial here, and hold a real sea burial for them. The corpses cut down all the trees on the sea burial island, dismantled the floorboards and door panels of all the houses, and spent 2 full days to finally make more than 2,000 simple boats for sea burial. These boats don't need to be strong, they will sink in the sea sooner or later. The temperature at the seaside dropped at night, and the sea burial boats were crowded together, making the harbor like land. Corpses walked towards the farthest boat, starting from the farthest end, and lay down in the boats one by one. Rudolph stood on the shore, watching these corpses bury themselves at sea, feeling a little emotional. In this terrible alien world, sometimes if you don't want to be a bad person, you have to be a dead person. This is an unsolvable problem. After the corpses were lying down, the druid corpse untied the vines between the boats, and the gentle sea breeze carried more than 2,000 sea burial boats to the sea. Rudolph and Cooper stood on the dock and watched the bodies leave. They will be buried in the depths of the sea. Return organic matter to nature, nourish the creatures in the sea, and become a part of the sea. Let's go, Let's leave here. The burial island has become history, and it will become an abandoned island. The Green Skull set sail, and after going out for more than 10 miles, the bodies of the Pisces wizards who created undercurrents around the burial island emerged from the sea one by one. It was the undercurrents created by these wizards that made Rudolph and Cooper drift into the waters of the burial island. These Pisces wizards cannot be lost regardless of their level. They play a big role at sea. If they encounter danger, these Pisces wizards can jump into the sea, or just follow the bottom of the ship, so that Cooper also has a backup for resurrection on the seabed. Cooper heard from Rudolph that he should be careful of the Ares wizard. The Ares wizard is the only nemesis of the green ghost fire, and he must escape when he encounters the Ares wizard. Inside the bridge of the Green Skull, there was an old sea chart on which Rudolph found the approximate location of Redbeard Island. The level 5 alchemist corpse became the captain again. At this time, he controlled the Green Skull and headed for Redbeard Island. Redbeard Island is a large and chaotic island. The pirate Redbeard is the ruler of this island. He has now successfully transformed and runs this port. Collecting taxes is much easier than robbing. This night, there was thick white fog on the sea. A huge black shadow gradually approached and entered the sight of the pirates guarding Redbeard Island. In such bad weather, there are still ships entering the port. They are really not afraid of death. Aren't they afraid of hitting the lighthouse? It's a big ship. Oh, it's okay. It's a sailing ship. What era is it? There are still old sailing ships. I don't know where this antique is. Is it going to participate in the Ship History Expo? The flag is a green skull on a black background. Who knows this flag? The young pirate was still teasing the outdated sailing ship, and the old pirate had carefully distinguished the flag with a telescope. Oh no! It's the Green Skull. For a moment, the entire port was in chaos, and the pirate guards rolled and crawled towards the depths of the island. The young pirates didn't understand what was going on. They found the old pirate's terrified expressions a little ridiculous, and the old pirate's eyes almost popped out. It's the Green Skull. It's the corpse ship that disappeared more than a decade ago. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 379. The Redbeard Pirates were once a very powerful pirate group on the Sarago Sea. As Redbeard got older, the turbulence on the sea became unbearable. After a bloody battle with his enemies, he had the opportunity to occupy this special island. This island has a deep water port and is the largest port nearby. So Redbeard switched to the port business. The most important thing in operating a port is reputation. Every time other pirate ships make trouble in the port, Redbeard will hit hard to remind others of Redbeard's reputation. He is a level 5 killing priest with countless wronged souls under his command. The red scimitar flag erected in the center of the island is the order guarantee of this island. Redbeard spent a long time to get the port on the right track. Over the past 10 years, Redbeard Island has a good reputation. Deep in the heart of Redbeard Island, in a castle built of red granite, the pirate minions are rushing to the depths of the castle. Captain. It's bad. The Green Skull appears outside the port. Redbeard has changed his career, but he still lets his men call him Captain, just like when he was young. This is the interrogation room of the castle. An old pirate with a big red beard turned his head and looked at the person who ran in. He had to stop his interrogation. If you look closely, you can see that the edge of the iconic red beard has a lot of silver beards. Time has made this burly man hunched. Opposite the pirate Redbeard, a young man was tied up. If Rudolph was here, he would recognize that the prisoner covered in blood was his navigator Pilot. Pilot heard some chaotic sounds in the interrogation room. He struggled to raise his head and looked in front of him. He did not look at the pirate Redbeard, but at the person next to Redbeard. That was a druid like him, and it was he who tricked Pilot here. It is not easy to meet a druid on the vast ocean, especially a high-level druid. Toned approached Pilot in disguise and captured him. In order not to alert the enemy, Toned only captured the navigator, and the Bauhinia was under strict surveillance. The last witch hunt left Tornad seriously injured, and the 5th level wizard South Sky Swordfish SWO died in front of him, so this time Tornad was very cautious and would not take action without a sure win. Tornad, the natural disaster druid, also noticed Pilot's hateful gaze. He felt a little sorry, but he had to do it. His target was Rudolph the Furnace, and he had to bring the furnace back to be judged by the trial office. As for the gaze of the young druid in front of him, Tornad chose to avoid it. After killing the furnace, he would compensate the young druid. Tornad, the druid, was not sensitive to the name Green Skull, so he was not as shocked as the pirates. Redbeard was very surprised, shaking his chin and letting his long, fluffy beard circle. This was his habit when he was lost in thought. Green Skull? How did it appear here? Does Green Skull still need collection? Hasn't he lost interest in collecting corpses a long time ago? A series of questions made his subordinates not know how to answer. I don't know, Captain. It's really the Green Skull. No one dares to counterfeit that flag. The pirate who reported to Redbeard was also very old. He was shaking when he mentioned the word Green Skull. Redbeard stood up and said to the druid beside him, Tund, I don't know why the Green Skull came here. I have to go and see. It shouldn't be a big deal. We have been living in peace. You continue to interrogate and find out where the furnace has gone as soon as possible. As soon as he walked to the door, Redbeard suddenly turned his head. Tund, I had some friendship with the Green Skull when I was young, and we have a good relationship as neighbors over the years. If possible, I would like to invite the Green Skull to hunt witches together. Druid Tornad nodded and watched Redbeard leave. What he wanted was the head or body of Rudolph the Furnace. As for what helpers he could find, that was Redbeard's ability. Tund promised Redbeard generous conditions and persuaded Redbeard to hunt witches together. The most important condition was to whitewash Redbeard so that Redbeard could go to the Carolingian kingdom and become an honorary baron. All the wealth he plundered will become legal wealth, which is what the old Redbeard desires most. Most pirates are very brave when they kill and rob, because they have seen the misery of old pirates. Compared with the quality of lingering, exchanging life for women and wealth is more tempting. Redbeard has felt more and more powerless in recent years. He dreams that he will be killed by a pirate captain under his command. He is afraid that he will become a stepping stone for the new pirate leader. When he heard the conditions of the druid, Redbeard agreed without hesitation. While rushing to the port, Redbeard asked his men, Didn't you let the Green Skull enter the port? No, we didn't dare to send a guide ship for such a dangerous ship. Rudolph and Cooper were still puzzled. The Green Skull was parked in the open sea. I don't know why no one came to guide them into the port. Seeing that the guide boat was not coming, Rudolph could not help but say, I always feel strange, as if there is an ominous breath. Be more confident, you are the ominous breath, Cooper said. You are a walking disaster, and you will be unlucky wherever you go. That's true, we should be on guard and not expose our identities. Pretend that it is the real Green Skull that has entered Redbeard Port. Redbeard led his men to the port and noticed the Green Skull on the sea far away from the port. There is no way not to notice that among a group of steamships, a sailing ship is so special. It seemed like an antique ship from the last century. The waves failed to sweep away the moss and mud on the ship. There were still some holes on the hull, making the sailing ship look even older. However, no one dared to despise the ship, because the flag flying on the ship was the Green Skull flag. For old pirates like Redbeard, the most terrifying thing they had heard when they were young was being targeted by the Green Skull. The Green Skull may not be the strongest pirate, but it is definitely the most difficult one, because the Green Skull is immortal. After Redbeard arrived at the port, he boarded his own red scimitar, started the ship, and headed towards the Green Skull. The bow of the red scimitar was raised high, like the tip of a scimitar. After approaching the green skull, Redbeard did not rush to board the green skull, but sent his men to deliver a letter. After the little pirate who delivered the letter came back, he told Redbeard in detail everything he encountered on the green skull. "Captain, there are quite a few crew members on the green skull," Redbeard complained in his heart. Many of those crew members were his opponents before. One of them, a level 5 alchemist, was the deputy commander of the navy of the Elba Alchemy Council. Just as you said, the captain of the other side was wearing a hooded robe. It was pitch black inside the hood and you couldn't see anything. It was undoubtedly the green skull. Seeing that the green skull had no intention of attacking immediately, Redbeard thought it was not here to cause trouble. "I sent the letter to Captain Green Skull. After reading the letter, he said he could talk to you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 380. Captain Green Skull, your friend Redbeard. As soon as Cooper looked at the header of the letter, he knew that Redbeard had mistaken him for the Green Skull, but it was almost the same. Cooper inherited all the Green Skull's wealth, wore the Green Skull's cloak, used the Green Skull's collection, and drove the Green Skull ship. He now says that he is not the Green Skull, but no one probably believes him. After briefly reading the letter, it turned out that Redbeard wanted to talk to him. "Let's talk," he asked the pirate messenger to reply. He would attend the appointment on time according to the location agreed on in the letter. After the pirates left, Rudolph walked out of the cabin. "Since the master invited me, you can go and have a look. You are immortal anyway, so you can go wherever you want, even if Redbeard has some evil intentions." "I think so too. It's great to be a level 5 living zombie. I don't have to be afraid of anything anymore." Cooper asked, "How about the Bauhinia?" Just now, Rudolph was in the cabin and used his disguise as a bat to check out the Bauhinia. He said, "Everything seems to be normal, but it's a little crowded around. Many ships are crowded on that trestle." "Okay, let's deal with Redbeard first." The guidance boat appeared and directed the Green Skull toward the port. The entire trestle was cleared to receive the Green Skull alone. 3 carriages were parked on the trestle, waiting for the Green Skull and his party. The Green Skull looked at the 3 carriages. Not enough. The pirate beside him hurriedly contacted other carriages. According to legend, the Green Skull is very cold, and the sound coming from the hood is very strange, not like a human being can make it. The buzzing echo was extremely low and hoarse. Soon, 3 more spacious carriages came to the trestle. The green skeleton himself sat on the first carriage, and the other corpses were all wearing cloaks and sat on the 5 carriages behind. The cloaks of these corpses are all equipped with burial techniques to avoid detection by others. Rudolph, who was crowded in a carriage with more than a dozen corpses, cursed under his cloak. It's different when Cooper has been promoted to level 5. The level is higher. Is it ridiculous that Rudolph, as the protagonist, is crowded with other corpses like a follower? Rudolph pushed the corpse next to him. "Brother, you are obviously a corpse, why are you hot? Can you switch it to cooling mode? It looks so much like a living person that it scares me." The corpse looked aggrieved. "Mr. Rudolph, I can generate apostolic power myself. These apostolic powers can be turned into heat using a very simple living corpse technique. If there is no heat, I will feel cold." "Okay, okay. Don't look at me with such a grieved and anthropomorphic expression." These 6 carriages headed all the way to the center of Redbeard Island, and their goal was Redbeard's granite castle. Rudolph raised the curtains a small crack and observed the city on Redbeard Island. The place is dotted with wooden shacks, and in those shacks live dirty pirates. It is very uncomfortable to bathe in sea water, and fresh water is the most precious commodity on the sea. Many pirates will not take a bath for more than half a year at sea. They gradually forget the feeling of cleanliness and are covered with old dirt and a sour smell. However, the pirates have become accustomed to it. I won't feel uncomfortable. Occasionally, there will be some tall 2- or 3-story buildings. These buildings are casinos, taverns, and the amusement park that Cooper can only dream of now. Thinking about it this way, Rudolph felt that it was okay to squeeze in with the corpse. It would be worse for Cooper. A very majestic castle stands at the end of the avenue, that is Redbeard's castle. At the gate of the castle, a dozen women with heavy makeup and dazzling flowers were waiting at the door to welcome the green skull. With such bad taste, can't we find a few women of better quality in the entire Redbeard Island? We really can't find a few abstinent priests. The minimum limit for abstinent priests is quite high. The carriage stopped at the gate of the castle. The women couldn't help but shiver, and the surrounding temperature dropped a bit. Have you slapped the horse's hooves? The green skull can't see women now, it will make him sad. The corpse on the side couldn't bear it anymore and said, "Mr. Rudolph, Mr. Cooper asked you to stop talking." This corpse must have filtered Cooper's words into a pure version. It's unclear what the original words were. Okay, let's not talk about it anymore. Cooper has been promoted to level 5, and our safety has been greatly guaranteed, which makes me relax. Tell Cooper for me that I will never mention his sadness again. Mr. Cooper said he was not sad about anything. I understand, man, you can be soft in other places, but your mouth must be hard. The corpse didn't dare to do anything, even though he had received the order to do so. Mr. Rudolph can even kill the real green skull, its original owner, and make him disappear in an instant. The new owner, Mr. Cooper, had not experienced the difficult process of collecting corpses and did not value the corpses so much. Mr. Cooper would not necessarily care if he disappeared. Mr. Rudolph, Redbeard actually prepared a woman. The master asked me to ask you, are you getting angry here? Is this intentional by Redbeard? Let Cooper go back and take a good look at the Green Skull's diary. I've seen those records. After the Green Skull was just promoted, he didn't want others to know that he couldn't touch women, so for a while he deliberately brought a large group of various people around him. The beauties of the tribe. Men, they all have a lot of face. I guess Redbeard's impression of the green skeleton is still at that time, so there are so many women here. Oh my God, how much perfume do they wear? Instead of letting women into his carriage, the green skull tells them to go away. After the carriage entered the castle, they saw Redbeard waiting in the urn, seemingly eagerly waiting for the green skull. Cooper's collection was left in the carriage, and Cooper went to the banquet alone. Redbeard welcomed Cooper in enthusiastically. As for what happened inside, the corpse next to Rudolph would faithfully relay it. There was a banquet hall in the castle, and there were carpets in the banquet hall, but the carpets were very dirty and had never been cleaned since they were laid. It was better not to lay them, because they smelled very bad. Cooper discovered that the carpet smelled bad through the behavior of the druid on the opposite side who kept pinching his nose, and Cooper remembered that druid. It was the druid from the Carolingian kingdom who came to hunt witches after leaving Quarter Port. The druid who could use hurricanes. On this night, a pirate ship was sailing in the night fog in the waters of the Sea Burial Island, a few days away from Redbeard Island. The sea fog was very thick and boundless. The further the captain moved forward, the more he felt something was wrong. This ship also had a red scimitar flag, and it was a pirate ship under Redbeard's command. After sailing for a long time in the thick fog, the captain finally realized something: there is the burial island near here. Be careful of the undercurrent. After a while, the first mate reported, "Captain, there is no undercurrent, everything is normal." No undercurrent proves that we are still far away from the burial island. Leave this sea area as soon as possible. After they sailed for several hours, The first mate suddenly entered the captain's room. "Captain, there is an island ahead." "How can there be an island? There is no island nearby." What the captain did not explain was that unless you encounter the burial island, there is no land in the nearby sea. When the captain came to the deck, he did see an island. It looks like an ordinary island with an ordinary town on it. Not long after, the little pirate ran back from the town howling. "What are you calling? What did you encounter?" "Captain. Captain. There is nothing. There is no one in the town. And the doors and floors of all the houses have been demolished." The captain scratched his head. "What is going on?" He suddenly slapped his head and shouted, "Go back to Redbeard Island. This may be Sea Burial Island. Something may have happened on Sea Burial Island. Let Redbeard Father come and take a look." When other pirates found the densely packed tombstones, they knew that this was indeed Sea Burial Island, but for some reason, there were no corpses on Sea Burial Island, let alone the legendary green skeleton. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 381. The cloak with the enshrinement technique concealed Cooper's figure. Seeing his former life and death enemy, Cooper remained calm. Even without the cloak, there is no expression on Cooper's skull. If I read it correctly, this druid is an old acquaintance, the druid who can create hurricanes. From the perspective of others, the green skull has not moved since he sat down. In the carriage outside, Rudolph was preparing of type blood. His enemies were extremely jealous when they saw him. Redbeard was the first to speak. "I wonder if the green skull is coming to my island. Is there anything I can do for you? You and I have been neighbors for many years. I will try my best to meet any needs you have." The pirates on the ancient Sea of Sala all have nicknames. Redbeard doesn't know Green Skull's real name, and Green Skull doesn't know Redbeard's real name either. It was Redbeard who said he wanted to talk to the Green Skull, and it was Redbeard who invited the Green Skull here. Cooper did not answer the question directly, but asked, "Redbeard, have you encountered anything on your island recently? What's wrong? Abnormal? Did something abnormal happen on the Green Skull Sea Burial Island?" Redbeard was thinking in his mind that his biggest abnormality now was that he wanted to help the druid complete the witch hunt and then become a rich man. Many pirates died by washing their hands in a golden basin. Once their blood-stained hands were put down, someone else's knife would come over them. Could it be that the Green Skull saw this? Impossible. This matter is still in the conspiracy stage. In order not to alert the enemy, he did not take action against the Bauhinia. He just used the identity of Druid Tone to deceive the pilot of the Bauhinia. The deception did not take long, only a day or two, and it would not cause any trouble. Red Bud alert. Redbeard waved his hand back, signaling everyone to leave. The maids and pirates, who were smelling of pungent perfume, left the banquet hall. Only 3 level 5 apostles were left in the banquet hall. Redbeard considered his words and said, "Green Skull, even if you don't come to me, I'm going to find you. I want you to help me kill someone, and for this I'm willing to pay you a reward that's satisfactory to you. You can take all the pirates on the island. For your collection, you can even turn this place into a second Sea Burial Island. There is a lot of traffic here, which is enough to show your extraordinary performance." In the era when the Green Skull was most active, the Green Skull liked to trick people onto the ship, and then let the guests enter one story after another weaved by the Green Skull, which was collected after being tortured. The deep water port of Redbeard Island can bring more guests to the Green Skull and more creative opportunities. Are you willing to give up your foundation? Give up this island with a big port? Cooper raised his head slightly and raised the height of his hood. The person you want me to kill for you is a level 5 apostle or a level 6 apostle. Hearing that the Green Skull was interested, Redbeard breathed a sigh of relief. He also found his conditions very tempting. He said, "No, the one I want you to kill for me is a level 4 apostle." Cooper asked, "What kind of fourth-level apostle can you exchange for the entire island? Is he the Prince of Carloman 16? No. Is he the god's favorite from the Insect's Nest Church? No. Oh? Who is that? Green Skull, I would like to invite you to hunt witches with me." A level 4 wizard. After saying that, Redbeard stared at the green skeleton. Unfortunately, the living corpse's entombment technique was very powerful, blocking Redbeard's sight and detection. Hearing that the target was a level 4 wizard, Cooper had already made a guess. By coincidence, there was a level 4 wizard outside. Cooper turned his head and pointed the black hole of his hood at Redbeard, which meant that he was very interested in this matter. The Green Skull, a wizard escaped from the Carolingian kingdom in the northern continent, named Rudolph the Furnace. Cooper thought to himself, as expected, this world is really small. Druid Tone took out a photo and handed it to the Green Skull, but he saw the Green Skull put the photo directly on the table. "Is the Rudolph of the Furnace you are talking about an ugly man with black hair, a disgusting young man?" Redbeard and Tone looked at each other, somewhat surprised. "Yes." Rudolph outside filled the blood bottle and looked at the corpse beside him with some surprise. Has Cooper's acting skills improved so much after his promotion? But he was obviously a handsome, black-haired, enviable young man, but what Cooper said was too exaggerated. "The Rudolph of the Forge you are talking about, does he have a very powerful fire magic weapon?" "He is extremely rampant with this fire magic weapon." "Yes. Mr. Green Skull, that's him. There won't be another person. He took the fire witch weapon and killed the level 5 wizard, Nantian Swordfish Siwo." Cooper nodded. That witchcraft was indeed powerful and helped Rudolph kill the Green Skull sitting on the table. Redbeard said, "Green Skull, I want to invite you to hunt witches together. I will take the witchcraft of Rudolph the Forge, the druid Toned next to me will take the wizard's head, and you will take my Redbeard Island." Druid Toned looked at the Green Skull nervously. He was afraid that the living corpse would not agree to their conditions. However, Cooper slammed his hand on the table, causing the table to jump. "Rudolph the Furnace. That despicable villain. He just left my sea burial island and turned my sea burial island upside down. In vain, I choreographed a big show for him, and even arranged for him to be promoted from port director to island owner. That bastard had already seen through my stage play, but he didn't say anything, he pretended, he was cunning and cunning. At the end of the performance, it was him who played me, and I became his prop. I am irreconcilable with that villain Rudolph the Crucible. Is my reputation as a Green Skull so useless? How dare a small 4th-level wizard deceive me? I must peel off the skin of Rudolph the Crucible, burn his flesh, and hang his skeleton in the tallest bell tower of Sea Burial Island, letting him wither into ash in the sea breeze." The Green Skull became more and more excited as he spoke, and he kept slamming the table in excitement, and the joints on his hand bones flew off, which showed how much he hated Rudolph the Crucible in his heart. A knuckle of unknown part rolled to the feet of Redbeard, who hurriedly picked up the knuckle and stood up to give it back to the Green Skull. Cooper took the knuckle and threw it to his hand casually. Unexpectedly, the knuckle of the ring finger was connected to the middle finger, making his middle finger very long. Redbeard hurriedly comforted. "Green Skull, don't be so angry, you haven't set foot outside Sea Burial Island for more than 10 years, you don't know how hateful these younger generations are now. He is just a level 4 wizard, so what if he got a level 5 magic weapon? When we catch him, you can torture him first to vent your anger." Cooper slammed the table again, this time not only knocking off his knuckles, but also cracking the table. "I was originally ready to withdraw from Saragosse and spend the rest of my life quietly on the Sea Burial Island. Unexpectedly, everything was broken by Rudolph the Crucible. He is so vicious, 10,000 times more vicious than other Scorpio wizards I have met. You have finally found the right person for witch hunting. I also want to hunt witches, and I want to make him regret it. Rudolph the Crucible and I will never reconcile. In the carriage, the corpse next to Rudolph kept wiping the non-existent cold sweat on his forehead, repeating to Rudolph everything that happened in the banquet hall. Haha, Cooper is a bit of a private matter, isn't it just that he can see that he is a virgin? Is it so serious? Is this very insulting?